This is part 2 of the sailboat trailer build. The first video covered sort of the why I'm building this trailer. It's for a friend of mine. It showed the original trailer that he got off Craigslist, and we found out we couldn't really use many of those components, so we ended up getting some new to us steel, which is what you see me laying out here. We cut apart the old trailer, and now we're basically building a brand new trailer. And this video is going to cover welding of the frame, getting the axle installed, getting the tongue installed, which you see me laying out now, and getting it ready to paint and put some wiring on to get it ready to support the boat.
Well, I just got all the pieces back in from prepping for weld. I'm going to go ahead and start tacking this together. Once we get it tacked up, we'll start production welding and get it all put together. So at this point, we are on a flat enough surface. I'm gonna go ahead and production weld all that stuff, at least a single pass, and then we'll start doing the fit up for the tongue. Got this metal basically lifting this up a little bit so it's just easier to tack. Looks like it's all lined up. We're ready to tack it in and weld it out. Here. Get them out of the way.
That's right. Can you go back a hair? About 6 inches? That's good right there. There we go.
Yes. Well, as you guys saw, we just got the boat into the shop. We came, picked it up, got it in here. I need it here in order to build the framework that will support the edge of the boat. The first thing to do is get the axle back under the trailer, so that is all cleaned up and painted and ready to roll. I'm gonna go ahead and repack the bearings and get the hubs put back together and wheels back on the axle. And then we're gonna move on to some of the other attachments. I gotta get some light pods put on there. We've got the mount for the tongue, the new hardware to support the axle, and we've got the wiring kit for all the lights.
Flipper.
We gotta walk it around.
Look at that, huh? There's engineering for you right there.
So I got the trailer flipped over. We got the axle out here. We've got the axle mounting hardware. We're basically gonna get it lined up, get the brackets tacked on and bolts put through. So the bottom welds, or the welds that I need to access from the trailer being flipped over, are done and in. You saw me go back and wrap the corners of the welds to make sure everything's tight and nice. I'm going to go ahead and put the bolts together, get this thing pinched in place. I'm going to flip it over and weld out the rest of the axle. Oh, Jesus. Well, I have to say, I'm pretty happy with that. thing we're gonna do to get the boat on the trailer is put the nose block, I guess is what I would call this. I ordered this rubber bumper stop off Amazon. I bent this little bracket, put the bolt through there, so that's ready to go. I've already pre-cut the support up at the right angles. This support will just sit just like that. So we got it fabricated. We've got the bracket welded to the upright support. I'm gonna go ahead and tack this in place and we'll pull that piece of rubber out of there so it doesn't melt or weld it out, and we'll be in good shape. Well, we're gonna let that cool down for a few minutes. So we're gonna put our first boat support on. We've got it all laid out and cut, and we've got the top plate welded on. So that spacer basically goes in here to represent the board we're gonna have. Basically gonna throw our ground on there, tack that thing in place. This is our last gap on the forward end. We just threw our spacer in here, and it looks really good right there. Really happy with that. We've got the light boxes. Got a step drill bit, and on this thin metal, this works really well. There's our second hole. With those drilled, we can go ahead and get these welded on the trailer. So before I weld on these light boxes, I want to take a second to talk about why the trailer looks black when it hasn't been painted, and it has this white sort of powdery looking stuff on it. This was new metal to me, but it had been sitting outside, so it had rust all over it, so I took a wire reel to it and we cleaned it all off. I use a product called OSPHO. So the OSPHO, when painted on here in a light coat, converts the rust, which is iron oxide, chemically changes it into iron phosphate, which is what causes the metal to turn black. The black color is the iron phosphate, but in that chemical process, it also causes this white powdery substance, zinc phosphate, to show up. So I've got a couple more light boxes to put on and then get ready for the wiring, and then we can go ahead and paint this thing. But that's why this thing is black and has this white powdery looking substance on it. But the powder has been all wiped off, so it's just black and white stained. So OSPHO, this is the stuff that I like to use, which helps basically preserve rusty metal, or metal makes it so that the paint adheres better. And I can stand to put a new lens in there. Whew. It's pretty, well, it is time to wire the trailer. We've got the lights welded on. I'm gonna go ahead and get the wires pulled, put in place, because there's one thing that
This is gonna wrap this one up. We finished fabricating the trailer. We got the frame welded out. We got the supports that hold the runners put on. We got the light boxes put in place, and I've begun wiring. The next video will cover wiring, finishing up the lights, getting the rails installed, and just general cleanup and painting.
I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope there's a lot of good takeaways. Until next time, thanks for watching.